sitting down and making a grocery list in my Me Plus Slim Pad. And my husband brought me a boba. I like the strawberry pulp one. I have my coffee too. And then I've been using a Blackwing pencil sometimes to plan things in here because I move around my Friction Pilot pen with the 3 colors. I sometimes can't find this, so I have a backup pencil that I carry with my Me Plus. But I kind of prefer my pen because of the different colors. It just is very helpful. So I'm making a grocery list in here. And the kids are at the table and they're making lists too. And then I just wanted to show you that I pretty recently decorated my Kindle. And I kind of regret where I put the pop socket. I went back and forth a lot and then I realized I think I just I don't know. I saw a lot of different ways to put it, but like it works and it works fine. And then for once, the advertisement on it is actually a book I might be interested in. I don't know about you guys, but a lot of times the advertisements on here seem super random, at least for me. They don't seem very related to the books I read, so I think that's funny. But this one I've actually seen around, and I think it's like a short story she turned into a whole book. I'm not sure. Maybe it's just a new release from her and I just didn't know about it. But yeah, I decorated my Kindle and just gave it some more personality. It's a clear case, and I printed off this green striped background and added these stickers. None of them are stuck down. They're just held in here, if that makes sense. So I can change the stickers and I can reuse the stickers because the sticky part's not being used. And this really cute and kind of funny pop socket, that's a piece of toast I got from Etsy. And all of the stickers are from small artists, except for the strawberries, like from a pack from Amazon. And unfortunately, I don't know the names of the one who did the sardine or this stamp sticker, but this cup is from Jessica Lancaster Art, who I use her stickers many times in my reading journal. So just wanted to show you that. It's looking very springish and the weather's starting to feel nicer. So between that and my strawberry boba, I'm feeling in a good spring mood. So I'm hoping we can get some spring reading done. And I might go to the library or check out the free little library in our neighborhood. I have not found anything good there before, but it's worth a visit, and maybe I'll try to take something and drop it off in there so like I can help participate in making the little library more diverse and more, I don't know, put better books in there. But yeah, so hopefully we can get some reading done, maybe pick up some books from the actual library or the free little library, because I really want to make it through the books I already own, but I do have really big, thick books that I own, and I kind of want to pick up some manga or this series that's been popular, if you guys have heard of it, the Unselected Journals of Emma M. Lyon, I believe is what it's called. Journals or diaries or something, but they're shorter books. So I was thinking of getting those if my library has them, or some manga, maybe Witch Hat Atelier or like Frerin or something. I don't really know. I can't really remember the mangas I'm interested in, so I was just going to go look and see what my library had. And then I've seen some graphic novel editions of books I've been interested in. In my last vlog I showed at the library, I found 1984. Is that the date? Dates blur in my mind, but I think the book is called 1984 by Stephen King. And I didn't know that they had a graphic novel version of that book. That book's really thick and I'm interested in it, but it might be nice to pick up a graphic novel version. So that's my plan right now, is to go to the library to get some quicker, shorter spring reads to mix in with my spring TBR based on the books I already own. Those are all like longer fantasy books, kind of like I said. So, well, most of them are. So I want to go find some ones to sprinkle in. So yeah. Okay, at the library, I could not find any graphic novels or manga that I wanted, and I also could not find the unselected journals of Emma M. Lyon. I asked about those books and they were all being loaned out at the time. So this is 2 days later, and these are the books I got from the library, which are not necessarily shorter. This one is, but these two aren't. So we'll see if I can make it to these books this month. It's towards the end of March, but I was able to order from Amazon. I did check my bookstore first, but they also didn't have these. So from Amazon, these were on sale. They were about $10 each on average. One was like $8, one was like $11, but I thought that was a really good price, especially for this graphic novel. Like I was talking about, I want to get more books in graphic novel, and this is full color. So I think that's a really good price for a full color graphic novel. And this is a book, The Raven Boys, as you can see, by Maggie Stiefvater. And I read this when I was in high school and really liked it. I don't remember it that well though, so I thought it would be really nice to read the graphic novel version because this is newer, I believe. You know, it's obviously newer than the book, but I think it's actually pretty recent that this came out. So I want to read this. And then I got 2 volumes of Witch Hat. I got number 3 and 4. So I think I'll try to read Witch Hat volume 3 before March is over. Maybe the 4th one if I can get to it as well, because I put Witch Hat on my spring TBR, so I want to make sure I get to this. And then I have these books from the library that I might save for April, because I'm currently in the middle of Child of the Prophecy, which is the 3rd book in the Seven Waters series by Juliette Marillier, and I'm still reading Anne of Green Gables. It's a reread for me, but I want to finish those in March, and then these maybe I'll get to in April. But I got The Summer War by Naomi Novik. There's a anime movie I like called Summer Wars. I'm curious if they are inspired by similar like folk stories or something, but I've read a few books by Naomi Novik. I'm blanking on the name of one of them, but Uprooted is one that I read not too long ago that I liked by her, and this one's shorter, so I thought this might be fun. And then I got Fable by Adrienne Young. I've heard a lot of good things about Adrienne Young's, I don't know if it's literary fiction books, but her adult novels, The Unmaking of June Farrow, and some other books by her. But I have also heard a few people talk about this series that is young adult. So since I've wanted to try the author in general, and this was at the library, I thought I might give this a try. And then Amelia Hart had a novel last year or 2 years ago called Wayward that came out that did really well, at least on like Goodreads charts. And I noticed this book. I haven't read Wayward, but I'm curious to try it. I've heard mixed things about that, so it must be one of those books, kind of like Finding Grace. That's the first book I read in 2026, and that book I've heard wonderful things about, and then some people are like, I didn't like it at all. So I feel like Wayward is kind of like that. So this book, The Sirens, I've heard nothing about, but it was in the new releases section, and again, I just thought I would try it. I kind of like going to the library, and although I have my TBRs and things that I've kind of tried to pick out for spring, I really like going and kind of going with my gut, or just following my heart, or whatever you would call it when I pick out books, because that's how you can find some like gems. So although these are not on my spring TBR list, I went ahead and rented these because worst case, I'll just return them, obviously. So got those, and then hopefully I'll make it through some Witch Hat, and then finish Child of the Prophecy by Juliette Marillier and Anne of Green Gables by L.M. Montgomery. And then also listening to Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire with my husband, the full cast edition of the audiobook. So if I can make it through those 3 longer books and a Witch Hat volume, I will be happy. It's later. I read for a bit, and let's see how many pages I finished. I already forgot. I had to go make dinner and stuff, but okay, I read 45 pages, so not that many, but I was also helping my kids with things in between reading some, and I thought the bookmark looked really cute with this cover. This is the Rifle Paper Co. cover by Puffin Books, or Puffin in Bloom specifically, is this like illustrated versions of classics. And I've always liked Rifle Paper Co., so I picked up this edition. I have a different edition that is the first edition I read of Anne of Green Gables. I have that too. I kind of want to annotate, but I don't feel like this is like the type of book I like to annotate. I don't know if anyone else knows what I'm talking about, but I really like to annotate like a fairly cheap paperback because it just feels like I'm not destroying it. This feels so structured and nice and like specific design that I want to like keep it how it is. But yeah, I am remembering how much I liked this book as I'm rereading it, and the descriptions of nature, even in just the first few chapters, as Anne is going from like the train station to Green Gables, is really, really beautiful. So this is a very good spring read so far. I'm just catching up in my forest planner. This is a forest planner by Nicole Josephine, and it's where I keep my diary and reading trackers and stuff. And so I want to update my February. This last week in February, I need to highlight the days I was reading what books. I just have the 3 books I read in February, and then I am behind in setting up March, so I need to do that. So I think I'll do this tomorrow, and I'll show you while I set up March's monthly spread, because I already have some books I need to add. But yeah, I'm just gonna highlight the days I finished Son of the Shadows on the 26th, and then these last 2 days I finished Wuthering Heights. I actually took a break, and I also need to highlight some of these days. I tracked it in my dailies, but some of these days I jumped back into Wuthering Heights. I was annotating it, so I did it in pieces. But yeah, I'm just gonna catch up in here, and then I'm gonna play my Switch 2. I'm gonna play Pokopia. It's a game that came out recently that I've been really loving. It's super cute, and I haven't been able to play it very much because of all the other things I'm doing. So yeah, just a cozy night of some hobbies. And here's all my annotating supplies, like tabs and clear Post-its. So I'm just gonna get my mild liners, are what I used to highlight my book colors. So I used these 3. So yeah. So here I'm listening to Child of the Prophecy while I play Pokopia. I have been really loving this series by Juliette Marillier on Audiobook, and I have been loving this series. It's so good. I love the world that Juliette Marillier is building and how magical it is. This 3rd book follows the evil witch in the 1st book, Daughter of the Forest, the evil witch that marries their dad in that book. This 3rd book follows her granddaughter, so I feel like there's a lot more magic in the book so far because the main character is a sorcerer, or more specifically, a sorcerer's daughter. Her father has been teaching her how to use her magic, but she's lived in a small, reserved little, I don't even know if you would call it a town. She's been pretty much living in the middle of nowhere and enjoys her quiet life. But then one day her grandma comes to visit and tells her she needs to go back to the realm of 7 waters where she has family, and she needs to reinsert herself so that her grandma can essentially take down the kingdom, and I think she wants to rule it. But again, this is all, you're not really sure. You have to figure that out as the story goes. And I've been really loving it. The main character is a little less lovable than the other 2 books in this trilogy series. There are 3 books after these initial 3 that I'm curious to read, but the first 3 are considered a trilogy, I believe. And the main character is not as likable, but she is really interesting to follow because she is morally gray kind of in some areas. She's not as much of a good guy straight off the bat, at least. But so far, I'm loving this book. It is really well written, has beautiful descriptions of nature, and the characters are often very in touch with their spiritual side and connected to nature. And I just love Juliette Marillier's writing. It's so beautiful. I'm close to finishing it, and I will give you my full thoughts in my reading journal update video as usual. But yes, so far loving this and really excited to read more by Juliette Marillier. Okay, so I've been playing around in this ring binder, which is just a simple clear case, and I just wanted to show you what I set up. I genuinely don't have any super clear thoughts on what I'm doing in here. I just am trying to find a way I enjoy memory keeping and So far, I haven't print out any family photos, so I just wanted to flip through and show you because I don't always like to show absolutely all of my family photos on the internet, but you can see I just put a bunch of different things in here. Some spring-inspired photos. I used this washi tape with really cute, like, I think that's tomatoes, but they look very like strawberry-esque, fruity, spring-themed treats. I put it on both sides of this little yellow card. What will I write on here? I'm not sure yet, but I have this little illustration I did that I was proud of for a friend. I put this cute washi tape on the edge over there and the sticker that says spring. I wrote a little blurb about what we did this week, not particularly on Thursday. This is reused paper. I have several kinds of paper for a A5 6-ring journal that I used to have. I don't want it to go to waste, so I repurpose it every now and then. So I might like mark out this day and just say like white this out and say this week or something and just give a little short recap of the week. I'm just playing around with what I like so that once I get a rhythm down, I could then do my memory keeping in here. It's not really like a diary because I already have that with my forest planner, but I just wanted to set up some spreads. This is a Vincent van Gogh painting I really like, and this is a film photograph of mine. This is just a strawberry sticker. This is a little cardboard thing from this like blind box I got for an Animal Crossing room. I did not get this one, but the one I got is my least favorite. It's the kitty room, like this color scheme. And I didn't really want to put a picture of it because it's my least favorite, so I put a picture of the one that I want the most, which is this Brewster Cafe one. So I just put this in here because, like I said, I'm just trying stuff. I'm trying to not overthink it and just do something that's fun and whatever comes to my mind, and then figure out how to use this personal size ring binder for memory keeping and like junk journaling a little bit. So I kind of want to make it a combo of memory keeping and junk journaling. I've experimented with some other pages back here of family photos, but I kind of want to do a more scrapbooky look like this. And I'm thinking a lot of times I'll take the paper out of the binder and do like a scrapbook, a junk journal, and then put the pages back in here. And then when I have a good little chunk of pages or like a certain amount of months or a year's worth or something, I would then take them out and put them in a like binder that's more of like a archive folder, which this clear one could maybe be an archive folder, but I think I would get something even more simple and like a hardcover, not this flexible one for archiving. But that's my plan so far. It's really not very fleshed out. I'm just trying different things, like I said, and hoping to find a way that I enjoy monthly memory keeping or something, like monthly or bi-weekly memory keeping. So this page, my intention is to do a recap of spring and like favorite memories. And then maybe what I would do is a couple pages, and I love ring binders because I can reorganize the pages at any time if I want to, but do a paragraph or so of what I loved about spring, or specifically maybe just March. Maybe do these seasonal like introduction pages every season, and then the rest of the pages or spreads could just be monthly highlight photos. But yeah, I'm trying to get away from the weekly memory keeping and turn this into like a bi-weekly or monthly scrapbook, junk journal, random thing that I would just be happy to flip through. Just something more unique and more different and more customizable. This series is really cool because the way they use magic has to do with writing, and they have to cast their spells with, I guess, certain symbols and things that they write, which I think is, a pretty common form of magic that's throughout books, but I think it's cool to read about. I'm looking to see if there's any like pictures of them casting spells that I can show you. There was in the last volume, so there'll probably be them writing out spells later on in this, and so they relate the way you cast magic to kind of like cooking and writing out different ingredients for dishes and how you cook. So there's a spin-off series. I'm forgetting what it's called, but it has to do with cooking. And I just saw the other day that this manga is being adapted to an anime, and it's coming out next month in April. So that's really soon. And so it makes me want to read more volumes of this so that I can maybe watch the anime as well. So yeah, just a beautiful day outside. Yeah, bring your thing up. So here's an area where they're casting a spell to pick an apple from a tree, and it doesn't go like Coco plans it to. So her friend says, how about putting the signs of pulling at an angle? So these signs, I guess, represent pulling, and then they adjust them to pull at an angle, because she says, think about it, when you pick an apple by hand, it's easier if you twist it at the stem. I think it's a really cool magic system, and I also like that even though I'm only on the 3rd volume, they talk about ink and like stationery, and so it's fun as someone who likes pens and ink and stationery. I feel like it's a makes me feel like my everyday journaling is a form of magic, kind of, when I read this series. So definitely would recommend if you want to get into a manga if you don't normally read them. I think this is a good starter one. Hey guys, there's a lot of noise, so I don't know if you'll be able to hear me very well, but I made lunch. It's like a Szechuan bowl with edamame, bell pepper, orange, like a mandarin orange, and pork and rice. I made that for lunch, and my journals are actually just here from earlier this morning. I was doing some planning and some catching up in my forest planner journaling. So these are just here from earlier, but I left them so that I can jump back into journaling after lunch and just catch up on some of these days. I wanted to write some things about and plan anything else for my week. So yeah, these are just left here from this morning so that after I eat my lunch, I can just jump back into planning and journaling. So let's eat this and then we'll journal. I wrote a couple poems that I had jotted down in my phone for these 2 days right here. And I like to put a title of the poem over here in this column. It's not necessarily like a super thought through title. It's just something off the top of my head. Other things I write on the column are if I was somewhere different. So I was in Atlanta this day, so I wrote in ATL and where we had dinner. And here I wrote that we watched Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, and that I finished a audiobook, The River Has Roots. So that's what I like to put in the column over here. And I will put a title for this poem in this column. But yeah, I just wanted to show you that. This one I just wrote Spring is Here, and that's kind of what I wrote about. I wouldn't really say this is a poem, but I like using the column to summarize any media I watched or finished or books I read, that kind of thing. And then the other thing I like to do is summarize so that when I'm flipping through here, I can like look at this, spring is here, and remember that's what I wrote about, that spring is, you know, here. And over here I wrote like Pokopia Day. That's when this game Pokopia, Pokemon Pokopia came out. I sent a logo to a brand this day, finished annotating Wuthering Heights, so that kind of thing. But yeah, I've been really liking this forest planner as a place to do some daily writing, whether it be a poem or a quote from a book I'm reading or my thoughts on a book I read. I think this has really worked well to keep me writing. And again, I said at the beginning of the year, I'm looking to write quality over quantity, but at the same time, the quantity comes in because I'm keeping up with it every day. You know what I mean? So I'm not writing loads, huge chunks at a time, but I develop story ideas in here. I do poems in here, and sometimes the poem, by prompting myself to write often, sometimes the poem won't be good at all, but getting something down on here will then make my next poem better usually, because it allows me to revisit ideas. Like say I do kind of a stream of consciousness thing. It's the end of the day. I don't know what to write, but I just make myself write something. It's often not very good that way, but what it does is gets the idea blooming a little bit more. And so then if I, you know, stream of consciousness write and come up with a pretty good idea for a poem, a different day in the week, I can often write it again, but better and more, with more intent and thought behind it. So just a friendly reminder to keep writing, and remember you're writing for yourself. It doesn't have to be groundbreaking, and it doesn't need to be shared with anyone. Just write whatever you want to, and it does not have to be a lot for it to be important or to keep you in the practice of writing. So, hey guys, I just want to update my forest planner monthly spread for March, where I keep track of the length and days I read books. So I do a key on this side. This is January's, and each highlighted area coordinates to a book and when I was reading it. So I just wanted to set up March. Here's February. For January, I want to add a blue title over here, just like that. And we can set up March in here. I did my February stats here, so I stamped each. This doesn't say April, that's May, but I just wanted to show you I have a column for each month, and it's where I'm keeping monthly stats, so when I go to fill in my reading journal, I have them all ready to go. I was doing that previously, just writing stats on a sticky note so that when I fill in my reading journal, I had them all. So I just felt like this worked better, and I wasn't using these pages for anything else anyway. And then at the bottom I keep track of the books I bought that month. So I wanted to also just do a little pencil line to separate the books bought area. Where's my pencil? There it is. Just gonna do a little pencil line so it's lighter than it would be if I did it with pen. There we go. So these are just stats so I can fill in my reading journal later. And similarly, these spreads I used to have in my reading journal, but I had to hand make them and write the calendars in for every month of the year, and it was very labor intensive, and then I wouldn't always want to pull out my reading journal to keep track of them. This is something I'm in, this journal I'm in more like daily, so I'm keeping track of that in here. So this I view like keeping track real time, and then my reading journals where I transfer all the information as like my archive, and where I do the book reviews, of course, and everything like that. I thought we could do March maybe in this purple color, and I kind of want to just do some butterfly stickers, these stamp ones and these regular, just like butterflies that go together, maybe those, and just do simple. I don't do a bunch of decoration in here because I have loads of journals and I can't do, you know, crazy decoration in all of them. Don't really have time for that, so just wanted something simple. But I usually put a washi tape at the bottom like you saw. And I don't really know what washi tape would go with these stickers. Honestly, when in doubt, I do this green plaid from this brand. I don't remember what this brand is called. Is it called MT, or is it something about the branding of it reminds me of Midori, but I don't think they're related. But yeah, I've noticed, you know, a lot of washi tapes with that branding, and so I think it's pretty popular. I'm just forgetting. Okay, and now I might use one of my Jelly Roll gel pens where I have a bunch of colors of them. I have all of these colors from a Moonlight set, Jelly Roll Moonlight. I think the actual brand is Sakura, right? Again, sorry, my fingernails have orange on them from peeling an orange, so please ignore that. Let's do this purple one, 32029. There we go, March. Now we can just put some of these around. And there we go. I think that is plenty for this setup. And now I can keep track of the books, and I use the same highlighter colors. They're Zebra Mild liners that I use to highlight the days I'm reading. So yeah, there we go.